Welcome to episode 3 of the Ankara Blouse Masterclass. So in this episode, I will show you how to transfer your pattern to fabric and also how to pad the bust area. So here is my center front piece. So what I did was I cut this on fold. So you're going to cut this on fold both on your lining and on your main fabric. Also iron interfacing, soft interfacing on it. So I added half inch all the way around this front piece, but on the lower part I added extra 1 inch of allowance. So I iron the softest gum stay on it. That's the one they call tissue gum. Same for both the main fabric and also on the lining. So I'm going to take these pins out now so you see that this is cut on fold. So this is it for the center front. You can also go ahead now and notch the upper part and also the under bust point so you don't get confused later. For the side front pieces also, I added half inch all the way around, but on this side I added 1.5 inches, and on the lower part also I added 1 inch, same as the center piece. And these are 4 pieces, 2 for the lining and 2 for the main fabric. For the center back, there's no allowance on the zip side, but on the lower part I added 1 inch, and on the side I added half and also half inch at the top. I also have 4 pieces here, 2 main fabrics and also 2 lining pieces. Same for the side back, but for the side again, I added 1.5 for that side seam allowance. The rest is the same, half inch all around and then 1 inch on the lower part. So the next step now is to pad this under bust, this bust area. So I'm using this breast pad. It's called wadding. I just folded it into two. This is the medium weight one. So the part that is up is the plain part. The part with the shiny glue is the one that is folded. So I'm going to start with the center front. I'll place it making sure that the folded ends are matching. That's the folded end of the breast pad and the main fabric are matching. So I'm placing this on top in case you don't know your underbust. Just place it. What we're going to do is make sure that our part starts from our underbust all the way to the top part of the center front. So your underbust point all the way to the top, but after cutting we're going to reduce half-inch from it for the sewing allowance because we're going to be turning that with the lining later on. So your bust center padding should start from half-inch below the neck point and then stop at your underbust exactly. So I traced this so that the sides are the same shape, but this can always be adjusted later. So whatever it is, go ahead and cut. This is what I'm doing. So I'm going to be padding both the lining and also the main fabric together. So I'm going to cut another of this piece to use for the lining. So I just placed it over a new piece like so, still making sure that it's on the folded end, and I'll go ahead and cut. So this is it for the front, center front. So we're going to cut for the side. Now for the side, we are also going to start from the under bust, but at the top, we are going to come down by 1.5 inches. So I'm tracing the side piece like this, and then from that pattern piece, I just come down by 0.75. Next, now I'll just mark my bust span measurement divided by 2 and just make a curve to connect back to that point like so. So this side piece is starting from the under bust still, but at the top we came down by 1.5 inches. So for these two, we're going to cut two. We're using the same for the lining and also the main fabric. So next, now we're going to place it on the pieces like this, making sure that the glue part and the shapes align. And then I like to iron it from the right side like so. I feel like it glues better this way. So I spray a little bit of water and then use my iron to iron over it, and it's going to glue to the fabric completely. But in case yours does not glue properly, you can also place hemming gum in between to help it like stay better, because it can lift sometimes. Like I found my own lifting later on. So the same thing for this piece. So if you still get any excess after aligning them, you can go ahead and trim them off. It's completely fine. So the same thing we are doing here now, we're going to repeat the same process on the lining pieces. So this is it for the side. In fact, everything we're going to do from now moving forward, whatever we do on the main fabric, we do exactly that on the lining piece. So the center front also, we're going to do the same thing. Open this piece like so, and then place the pad, making sure it starts on the under bust, and then you have at least ½ inch excess at the top. And the same thing, I'm going to also iron this one from the right side as well. Just trying to make sure that they both match. By the time that we're sewing, one is no longer than the other. That's why I came down by 1.5 inch on the side, because that's the only way they end up at the same point when I'm done sewing. So I'm going ahead to trim off the excess that's hanging after ironing, and then, like I said before, we will repeat the same thing on the lining pieces. So the next thing now I like to do is to mark my seam allowance. So I'm going to be sewing using ½ inch seam allowance. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark that all around these pieces. This saves me a lot of time instead of sewing and losing it, just in case something doesn't go well. Like, it's just easier for me to just mark this. I don't mark all around, I just pick this piece. I mark it according to how I will place it on my sewing machine when I am sewing. So I mark on this side, and then I'll mark on one of the side pieces. It's the way it will sit when I am sewing on the machine. So I just go ahead, take my time and mark that ½ inch all the way around, so that when I start sewing, I know exactly where to sew, and then I don't go ½ inch on some places and go more than ½ inch on some places. Like, everything is even all through. If you have not been doing this, I would advise that you try it too. Like, it saves time. So after marking my ½ inch all around like so, I am still going to pin this before I take it to the sewing machine. So what I will do is I'll start from the underbust. So I hold the two underbust points together. That's why I said you should notch, so that you know exactly where they sit. So I start from there, pin the underbust together, and then keep arranging and pinning the rest of the pieces all the way to the top, and then I'll come back and do it again all the way to the bottom. So my pad is lifting already. I had to use iron to glue it back. Please, if you have not subscribed to our channel, kindly do so, and also the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. I really appreciate that. Thank you. This spinning process is very important. You can skip it if you think you can move without them, but I feel like this helps me hold this thing in place, and when I sit on the machine, it's once, I don't get to do much again. So this is it for one side. We are going to also pin the second part also. Then for the lining, you can also go ahead and mark your ½ inch round like that. I typically don't really do much on my lining piece, I just flow, but for you to get like a proper, you might consider doing the same thing, like marking your ½ inch around on your lining piece also. and also pinning. The pinning for me is non-negotiable. So we're going to go now and sew those pieces together and also do the same for the lining. So after sewing, I'll go ahead and remove all the pins, and then we'll head back to the table to iron this in properly. You can see that the bust is standing well. So to iron this, we need a breast ball, which is what I have on the table here. The first thing we need to do is notch the under bust point. So just cut that through, just very close to the line where you sew, but don't cut past that line. Just notch very close to the seam line. Next, now we're going to open these seams apart like so, and then iron so that everything lays flat. Now after ironing this lower part like this, we will now place this breast ball under the bust area like so, in order to iron it very smoothly also. If you're wondering what this breast ball is, it's just pieces of fabric, like waste useless pieces that are just molded together and then tied with tape and with thread and tape to hold in this shape. There are tutorials on YouTube that you can watch if you don't have one for yourself. It's very useful for making bustiers like this. So we're going to keep doing this, iron, 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 and then turn to the right side also and do the same thing. Turn it to the right side, the same way we iron from the wrong side. You do the same thing, iron the straight part nicely, and then use the ball to iron the upper part. This breast area is just giving me joy. Standing so well. If you did everything right, I'm sure that yours will also stand as well as this is standing. Okay, so after ironing this, remember I said everything that you do on your main fabric, you do the same on your lining piece. It's like sewing two things. You do here, you do on the lining. So we'll do the same thing for the lining pieces, like so. And then I am also going to go on and use STA to cover the seams so that they remain open and flat like that. Some people cover the entire bust area with this STA, and that makes sense, but for me, for this particular blouse, I'm only covering the seams on the bust area. So I'll do the same on this side, I'll do the same on the other side, and then I will do the same for the lining. After that, I went ahead to cut out the excess, and this is what we have. And then we'll go on to do the lining just like I said. So that is it for this episode. In the next episode, we are going to continue with the sewing piece, and if you have not seen the previous episode, I will link it in the comment section below.